Good evening, everyone. Indiana's own Dana Black coming at you for the first time ever. I'm also Facebook Live. I want to thank first and foremost Radio Next for allowing me this fantastic opportunity to come to you guys and talk to you about the things that are passionate to me, which include politics. Yes, this is going to be a political show. This show is going to be about issues that are happening from all levels of government, from the federal level down to the state level, down to the local level, the things that are going on in your townships, things that are going on at the city county building. I am really, really excited about this opportunity. So before we get started, I've got to be honest with you. Indiana's own Dana Black, that is my moniker, but we actually don't even have a name for the show yet. So feel free if you come up with anything as the night goes that you think is viable or feasible for a name for this political show that we're doing on Radio Next. Um, Tweet me or better yet, instant message me in the Twitter box. My Twitter feed is at Indiana's own. Yes, it was available to me when I was setting up my campaign. So that is the Twitter handle, Indiana's own. So let me give you a little bit about me and tell you why I am passionate about politics. Many of you know I grew up right here in Indianapolis. I got my education in the Washington Township School Districts. And if you were like me in the 80s, 70s, and 80s growing up, they always told us we could be anything that we wanted to be. There wasn't any stipulation on that. We didn't find out about those stipulations till we became adults. But as a child, I bought into everything that they were telling me that I could be. I went to Northview, and North Central. Go Panthers, class of '88. I want to see my class of '88 thumbs up out there. I grew up on the west side, over by Fox Hill and Michigan Road. Used to hit the tennis balls off the side of St. Monica. So that lets you know how long I've been over in Indianapolis, and I care about what's going on in my state. Um, when I graduated high school in '88, I was a part of that generation where you could go get a full time job and manage to take care of your family, and you didn't have to necessarily go to college to be able to have a decent income. And so I've worked in warehouses. I've been a long distance operator. I have driven forklifts. I'm telling you, some of my jobs I've actually like taped cement bags. I mean, that was literally a job where I was sent out into a barnyard and I had to, literally tape cement bags. I've done it all. I'm not afraid of hard work. My last um, job that I had where I didn't actually have my education was at Pepsi. Um, if you work at Pepsi, I know who you are. I love you guys. But for me, it was an eye opening experience. It was the most eye opening experience of my adult life at that point, because I made great money there. I made great. I had a house. I had two cars. I was living really really well, but I was also giving up a lot of time. People were. We would go into work, and we were a union shop. We would go into work, and you say your schedule was from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Well, at noon or at whatever the 4 hour mark was, they could actually just say you have to stay another 4 hours after your off time. Well, that means you couldn't really plan a life. You really couldn't plan any extracurricular activities. You definitely had a hard time trying to better yourself with those types of rules. One of the things that happened while I worked there, because I felt like these things were, you know, uh, not conducive to a healthy work life balance space, I became a union steward. So yes, I was a union steward. I was a teamster, and so I really understand what it is to be a working person, be out here in the struggle, not having anything handed to me. I'm an adopted child. I'm very fortunate in that both of my parents were mature when they decided to have kids. And so I had a very stable environment. If you can't tell, I am daddy's girl. Everything he was, I try to be. Even though my mother was really trying to get that girl thing locked down, it really wasn't happening. But I tell you what, I followed my father. My father was my idol. He was my chief. He was my everything, and how he lived his life is how I mimicked mine. Um, and I realized that if you didn't mind rolling up your sleeves and getting and doing some hard work, things were going to work out for you. So I actually came out around 1990. That was a really interesting experience. My mother wasn't really sure how to take that. I wasn't sure how to take it because it was all new to me. I mean, I knew that I was a gay very early on, but I was too afraid as a young person to actually deal with that type of issue in high school. I mean, heck, I had enough problems with my last name being black and being this shade of cocoa, right? So you can't walk around with this cocoa look on you and your last name black because kids can be cruel and they came up with every unique name to attach to black and what they thought of my appearance. So I wasn't really ready to come out and deal with my homosexuality at that point. But at 20 years old, I could no longer pretend to be something I wasn't. I came out, and I'm gonna tell you, my mother was like the most amazing person on the planet. Um, we were going to lunch one day, and she decided that she wanted to have the conversation with me, and I hadn't even really been out that long. Um, and she says, Dana, there's a rumor out there. People are saying that you were gay, and at the time, I had a roommate, and she was like, well, and they're saying the roommate is your girlfriend. And I had an opportunity at that point either to come clean and tell the truth or stay in the closet. And one of the things you'll find out about me is I talk too much. So trying to keep a secret just wasn't going to work for me, especially a secret of that magnitude. So I went on ahead and decided to go ahead and be honest with my mother. And I said, well, yeah, mama, half of that is true. Yes, I am gay, but no, my roommate is not my lover. Um, and my mother did something that I wish every parent had the full capacity to do. And I know a lot of mothers and parents don't because they have their own set of fears in life, whatever that may be. My mother looked at me and she said, Dana, I may not understand what that is, or I may not even like it, but you my baby and I love you. That has such a powerful impact on my adult life, knowing that the person that actually fed me made sure that my teeth were straight, made sure that I had shoes on my feet. I went and got my hair done every week. The person that made sure that I had, excuse me, the best in life said, I love you regardless. So honestly, it actually helped me walk through the world knowing that if you don't like me and you're not even doing anything for me, what does it mean to me? It means nothing. So I've been able to put on my suit of armor, and after being, teased as a kid, and then coming out in the 1990s and being a masculine female, having to deal with, the unkind things that people say about you, I learned to build up a little Teflon, a little armor. But I remember there was an old gospel song that my aunties used to play for us all the time. It was called "Going Up the Rough Side of the Mountain." And if you going up the rough side of the mountain, if you slip and fall, you have something to grab a hold to that pull you back up. If you go up the smooth side of the mountain, you slip, you're gonna fall all the way down to the bottom. So I'm not gonna tell you that from a financial standpoint or from a family standpoint that my life was miserable because it was not. I'm telling you, I lived in Ozzie and Harriet land, dipped in chocolate. I just didn't know it at the time. But when I became an adult and had to deal with other adults, that's when I started to learn what it was to have people coming at you the wrong way. So I'm at Pepsi. We're gonna fast forward a little bit. I'm at Pepsi, and I realized that I'm having to answer to superiors who I knew were intellectually challenged. Now I'm gonna say intellectually challenged. I ain't gonna call them stupid or dumb because they had degrees and I didn't. They had taken the time and had the discipline to sit down and actually get their education. So I can't call them stupid or dumb, but I knew that my brain worked as well as theirs did, but I was taking orders from them. I also saw an environment where I worked with a lot of men, and these brothers, man, they cared about their families. They all they wanted to do was have some money to take care of their kids and provide for their wives. and you had a management staff that really just didn't value the family lives of these guys, and that drove me nuts. That's one of the reasons why I became a union steward, so that I could fight for these guys when they found themselves in a little trouble. And I actually did pretty well as a union steward. I only had one incident where one of the management staff decided that he wanted to come at me sideways, and he, even though that he heard me speak, and of course everyone when I was growing up told me I didn't actually sound urban. We'll just call it urban, but he forgot for just a second that I was actually a black woman, and he said something out the way, and I had to read into him quite properly, but I did it the most professional way possible. I was winning my arbitration cases. I was winning, the disputes that I could win. And I did so well that Pepsi said, "Oh, no, mm-mm, mm-mm. We're not gonna let you be in the union no more. We're gonna hire you on full time, and you're gonna come work for the corporate side of things." Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm always on the. My wife coined it the best. I'm always on the come up. I'm always trying to find a way to better myself. I want to be better tomorrow than I am today. And so this was an opportunity for me to make more money and learn some new skills. The downside of it, though, was that I was on third shift. I was a tea batcher. If you ever had Lipton tea out of the glass jars, I actually used to make those at Pepsi. I was the quality checker. I was the tea batcher. I did that. But then I realized again, I was working sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. And that just was not a good way to have a productive life. When people were, and being on third shift, when people are out celebrating the 4th of July, you got to go into work that night so that you can batch for the 5th of July. And you're off on the 3rd of July. There's nothing to do on the 3rd of July. Who does anything on the 3rd of July? Unless it's a Saturday. And so I realized that the only way I was going to actually change my specific situation and change my life was to humble myself, take a step back, and sit down and go get my education. Now, I didn't really know exactly what to do and how to do. I had been, just out here uh, working my way through life. But a buddy of mine, I started hanging around different people. I started hanging around Noel Allen and Crystal Allen and Yolanda Edwards and my who people I call my fam. And I saw what they were doing. They were in law school. They were studying for their CPA exams, and they were starting businesses. And I felt honored and privileged that they would let me hang out with them. But when you change your environment, you change the way you think about things. And they all told me, "Dana, you smart enough to go to college." My cousin Camille, I got a cousin Camille. I love her to death. She's down in Atlanta. You know, one of the things she told me was, "You're the smartest person I ever met without a degree." And this woman, at the time she told me, had her master's degree and subsequently has gone on to get her law degree. So for me, that was like, okay, instead of not having the confidence in self to go handle my business, I started to gain that confidence because I started to change the environment that I was in. So I sat down in 2005. Man, I've been around a long time. I was 35 years old. My buddy Keena, um, she sat down with me and explained to me how to fill out all the paperwork. This is what you do. This is how you do it. Get enrolled here. Get enrolled there. Um, she literally took my hand and said, "This is how you get your education. Here are all the techniques that you need to get your education." And I sat down, and in 4 years, I went over to Indiana Wesleyan. They had a great adult program, and I applied all of those hardworking skills that I learned from my dad. I gotta tell you something else. Like, a brother named Eric, I used to work with at Autoliv a long time ago, and we were talking about school. This was like in the mid '90s when I was still in my 20s and thought I was fast. I told him I just didn't have what it took to go to college, and he told me I needed to look at college like a job. I didn't mind going to work every day, but I needed to look at college like a job. So that's what I did. 10 years later, I looked at college like a job. Man, I buckled down so hard because I knew what the other side of the world looked like without an education. And in 4 years, I was able to graduate magna cum laude. I was 2/10 of a point from summa cum laude. That still bothers me. I had a 3.88. I needed a 3.90 to get summa cum laude. Man, that bothers me. But that's okay. Here I was, and my goal was to graduate before I was 40. I graduated at 39. So, first things first, it's never too old to get your education. It does not matter where you are in life. If you want to change your situation, you can go get your education. Number two, I realized that I had a mortgage. And I realized that I was, competing with young people who didn't need as much money to live on as I did. So I went back to graduate school at 41, and I went online. I went to Southern New Hampshire, and I received my MBA with an IT focus. My undergraduate is in information systems. Um, if anyone tells you to go into school online is easy, that's because they've never done it. Because the bottom line is the expectations are much higher when you have all the resources available to you, and you have to budget your own time. You don't have somebody waking you up in the dorm room telling you to go to class. You got to go to work and then make time to do your studies and write your thesis and all that other stuff. But when I went to school, life changed for me. The world opened up to me. No longer was my focus on, and I'll be honest, I was kind of simple. My focus wasn't on the next girl I'm gonna kiss or the next girl I'm gonna date. My focus changed. I even went from being like the chick that went to the barbershop and can talk about sports with every dude in there and throw down every statistic possible on football and basketball. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was right there. To realizing that's those ballers' dreams. Those aren't my dreams. So I changed how I view the world. And then I started to notice how people were being treated around me. I knew what it was like to be mistreated at Pepsi, and it stank. It stank something serious. Um, and I see now how in the political sphere, underrepresented people are being treated really, really poorly. Um, and all those passions that I had about sports and arguing about sports changed to arguing about what's best for people in their lives. So some of you may know, and some of you may not. And if you do know that, I know, you know how serious I was about it. I ran against Brian Bosma in 2016. I never in a million years, if you listen to the arc of my story, would you ever think that someone like me would be running for office? It never occurred to me. But I always voted. I was always the person that voted because it was instilled in us in school. You go vote, right? Also, listen, I am an African American woman who was born or who was raised by a woman who was raised in Mississippi, born in Mississippi 1929, and my father was born in Indianapolis in 1932. You went to and vote because there were people who died for you to have that opportunity. I am a woman. I know about women being beat in the streets because they wanted to cast a vote. White women, right? White women being beat in the street because they wanted to cast a vote. So voting, I knew, was an integral part of being an American and being a part of the society and having a say. So if you guys remember back in 2014, when they were arguing the RFRA thing, or 2014, and they uh, moved it from one committee because Brian Bosma, he's got that power. He can move a bill from one committee if it's not going his way into another committee that is going to go his way. And he moved RFRA from one committee to another committee, and it passed. And you guys remember all of the nonsense and all of the heat that we received from as a state for this RFRA bill. And it made me mad. And I'm going to tell you why it made me mad. I pay taxes. I pay taxes like everybody else does. And these guys are getting paid. Their salaries come from our taxes. They work for us. And they were passing legislation that was gonna harm my family. Now, you don't have to agree with me being gay. You don't have to agree with the fact that I love women. You ain't got to agree with any of that. But one thing you should agree with is, as an American citizen, I deserve to be treated exactly the same way, regardless of what anything else. And the fact that they were writing bills that harm my family and I'm paying into the system was just overwhelming. So I went in. I was going to cast my rebellious vote against Brian Bosma. I knew the district that I lived in. I knew it was going to be tough. I knew that there was no way for me to actually, win the race. But I ran the race like I could win the race, because the bottom line is, anything that I'm going to do, I'm channeling my father. I'm working my butt off for it, because people need to know that there's somebody willing to have a voice for them. So I went in to cast my rebellious vote, and I looked at the ballot, and there was no Democrat running against Brian Bosma in 2014. The year that RFRA is passed, it comes out of our state house. There's no Democrat on the ballot running against the speaker, who was instrumental in getting that bill passed. I mean, people get mad at Pence. They get mad at Pence, and Pence must go fire. Pence doesn't get a bill to sign if it does not get past the House and the Senate. The Speaker of the House calls the bills to the committee, and he calls them to the floor for a vote. This dude was incredibly instrumental in creating a situation that was negative for our state. And we weren't even challenging his seat to hold him accountable to people he is supposed to be representing. Man, I looked at that ballot. I literally picked it up, turned it over to make sure I wasn't crazy. And there was no Democrat on that ballot. That's when the light went off. I was like, oh no. What? This is unacceptable. Now, for all of my political buddies out there, all of the people that I've met over the last 18, 24 months, you never heard of Dana Black in the political scene. You might have went to school with me. You might have seen me on the set when I was hanging out. You may be family members. I might have dated your cousin. But you didn't know me in the political scene, right? I had to massage my way in. But the first thing I did was look to see what the requirements were, because, as women, we often think that we are not qualified for certain opportunities. And so I looked at the state constitution, because I figured that would be the best place to figure out whether or not, I'm eligible. They only had 2 requirements. You had to live in the state for 2 years and live in the district for 1. There was nothing else in those requirements. It didn't say you had to have 14 degrees. It didn't say you had to be a lawyer. It didn't say you had to have all these credentials behind your name. It didn't say any of that. Because you know why? Bottom line is, we're all Americans. This is a representative government. And every person has the opportunity to represent somebody, be a representative to their community. I mean, if you think about it, some of the original representatives were farmers. They were in agriculture, because that's what we were. We were agrarian, economy. They weren't lawyers and doctors. They were coming from the cotton fields of Mississippi. So I got excited because I realized that there weren't going to be a lot of legal limitations to why I could run. Second thing I did, I talked to my wife to make sure it was okay, because bottom line is, happy wife, happy life. Y'all know the deal. I had to ask her first. The second thing I did was my best man, my best friend, the person that I trust with my wife and my life, I asked her. She's a CPA, so I asked her to, be my finance manager. Make sure that we don't go to jail for campaign finances. And she handled that because I'm not trying to go to jail. I knew they'd be watching. I'm not trying to go to jail. And we learned the process. I would send her, the finance booklet. She, and decipher that accountanese, because that is a whole nother language. I'm an IT chick, so I didn't understand account language. And we, we set it all up, and we went through the process of running this campaign. And what happened is, when we started the campaign, it was about RFRA. I was mad as a gay person. I was being treated poorly. But what happened? See, because I like to read. What happened was I started to recognize a lot of the other problems that were going on in my state. I'll tell you something that tore my heart apart that nobody was talking about, and I couldn't understand why they weren't talking about it. And that was the lead that they found in the soil in Lake County, and how these children were playing in public housing, and no one told them that they were playing literally on hazardous material. The only way they found out about it was one of the mothers noticed some things not quite right with her baby, and she took her into the hospital. The baby's like 3 years old, and the baby has elevated lead levels. Well, where did she get that from? Well, then you find out a whole bunch of people had neglected to tell the residents of this community that you're living on top of lead soil, and your kids are playing. That broke my heart, because my political philosophy is this: there is a place in our society for corporations, and I believe corporations, their job is to make money. Their job is to find the product that appeals to people, and they are supposed to maximize their ability to sell that product to the masses. Government's job is to look out for the people. So if for some reason some corporation is doing something that is either going to harm the citizens of this great nation or harm the citizens of this state, then they are supposed to hold those businesses accountable. And here you had government officials not holding businesses accountable, and people are getting harmed. Unacceptable. Now, we already know that Lake County is high minority, but it's also low income, lower income. People are struggling already. So when the news started to bubble out about this situation, and that people were literally, getting lead poisoning for playing jump rope in the front yard, then everybody want to say, well, it's your fault, your fault, your fault, your fault. Bottom line is, any one of those 100 House representatives or those 50 senators could have stepped up and said, hey, what are we going to do about that? Now, I know Senator Randolph up in Lake County raised some hoo-ha about it, but those are his constituents, and he loves them, and he wanted to look out for them. But the bottom line is when you represent the state, you represent everybody in the state. And see, these were the lessons that I started to learn as I began to campaign and knock on doors. So if you're not familiar with, House District 88, it is essentially the Geist area of Marion County, Fishers and Hamilton County, and Hancock County. Let me just give you a little statistics on the demographic makeup of that county, of that district. 88% white. So I knew what I was getting into when I started it, hence why I named the campaign Indiana's Own. So I would go out and knock on these doors, and people would share with me their concerns. And you would not be surprised at how concerned what we think are affluent people were concerned about how we were educating our kids. That was the other big thing that came up. People were like, why are we not teaching all of our children the tools that they need to be successful in life? And in their own way, they were saying, we got to take care of the inner city schools because I think we're okay up here, but we got to take care of the inner city schools because crime is, when they're not educated, the crime's going to go up. And so they definitely had a self-interest in making sure poor people were getting educated. But what the campaign was all about was we were learning things, and I was learning about what matters to Lose Your Families, what matters to the people that I would represent. And then you start finding out, how do we take care of our special needs adults? Man, that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole discussion for a day. And then you find out that we are, 43rd in the nation in air quality. If you live in Indiana, more specifically Marion County or Indianapolis, and you have asthma, you probably should move because you're killing yourself every day by breathing this air. So we weren't taking care of our environment. And then, under this same leadership, our infrastructure has just crumbled around us. So the tax dollars that they were supposed to be taking and applying to, our roads and bridges and our waterways and our electrical systems, they weren't. So now my passion just grew. It went from one issue, RFRA, to understanding how legislators and our government affect the citizens of our state by the decisions that they make. So that's why I'm here. I said all that in a half an hour, and I apologize. I didn't mean to go that long on that, but that's why I'm here. So today I've got a couple of issues that I want to talk about, and hopefully you'll find them interesting. I get pretty passionate about things, and so when I read what's going on in the news, and so there are a couple of things I want to talk about today. First things first, I know many of you guys are not happy with the election that happened in November. Okay, it didn't go the way that we on this side, as Beyonce used to say, to the left, everything you own in a box to the left. We're not happy with what happened. But this is where we are. And what we have to do is figure out how to work within this system. And so there are a lot of people around the state, right, or around the country right now. Let me back up real quick. So I told you the premise of the show, we're going to talk about some federal stuff and some state stuff. So since I spend a lot of time talking about my experiences in politics, we're going to talk about two subjects, one federal, one state. So the federal discussion today is going to be about how liberals and Democrats all over the country are like barnstorming the GOP town hall. Have y'all seen any of this? Man, it is the liberal version, because I don't want to call this a Tea Party. It's the liberal version of the 2009 anti-black president protest. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to actually say that, but it's kind of like how they wanted to say it was, we were turned into socialists, but y'all know, some people just weren't quite ready. Just like we're not quite ready for the orange one. They weren't ready for that one. We weren't ready for the orange one. That's how that happens. Okay, so the boss just came in, and he tells me I need to take a break. So give me a few minutes, and we'll come right back, and we're going to talk about those two issues that I want to get at today so that we can get some chuckles and some laughs. And hopefully you guys are liking this. Let me know what you're thinking about the show, if I need to change some things up. That was just an introduction. That won't happen again. We'll be talking about issues going forward. So hang on. We'll be right back. What up, baby? Man, were you listening?
Yeah.
Okay. Did it sound okay?
Yeah. I turned it out because when I took the stream off from the Y,
mm-hmm.
I just went straight to the phone and started listening to the introduction.
Okay.
Time was right. Everything was cool. Yeah. Arian. This is Tevin Stutter's co-host here, Charlotte Youngson.
Okay.
That's an educational program. She said that you came to her church.
Hey, how you doing? I'm taking a break. I'll be right back. How you doing? All right. How's everything?
Yeah, we just had like a 4-minute break.
When I saw, because he
Past
said
the
your
Webster's
name.
Church.
Yeah.
Down
You're
off
okay,
30th and
Webster?
Emerson. Big church down in the hill, right off 30th and Emerson.
Would it have been for like a conference or a town
No,
hall?
I think
No,
you
it
were
was
running.
like, I think it was during the election time.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, probably sounds
Okay,
right.
because I said, when he said your name, I said, okay, the name sounds familiar. Then I saw your face. I was like, okay. I've seen it before.
Yeah, so we're trying to do this show and see, what kind of responses we get. Yeah, just trying something new.
So is yours based on political views?
Yes.
Okay.
And not even views. It's literally a left-leaning spin. The right actually has a lot of radio shows on and a lot of talk shows where they hammer home to their constituents how they think and feel, and they have a great following. We don't have that same fervor on the left. And so what I'm trying to do is bring that same fire, that same fervor that they have been successful with to the left side. And gonna be
And it brings a different light,
a different understanding, and everything's about positive. I'm not gonna be fashion people. I'm gonna talk about these the way that I see them, and let people think of them. But it's gonna be fun.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. And hopefully,
How long have you been doing
this is
this?
my first show.
So how's it going so far?
I can talk, so
I know you just put the mic in front of my face. I just have to keep
I
on
just
going.
keep going. You know, I gave a little intro about me, so that actually I was supposed to do that for 20 minutes, over 30 minutes, but it was kind of giving context to why. So now we're going to talk about the issues that I find humorous or disconcerting. So I'll spend about 15 minutes on each of those. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm in.
I know when I started with this epic show, I was kind of, a little nervous. This is my first time with for public speaking.
I ran out of water. I know my wife is like, y'all gonna give her a whole hour to talk? But she's probably relieved because I'm not having to bother her all night long about some of these things. You the man.
Love me some Dana Black. Ebony told me to tell you good luck. I met Sean today.
That's my dude. That's my
He told
dude.
me. He said you guys are getting ready to do something together on.
The second, March the 2nd. Yeah. I wish I probably need to make those kind of announcements. I'm trying to remember those things.
You can make this your platform for everything Dana Black doing.
Yeah. I probably need to. I just can't remember everything.
Well, you'll get used to it. You you used to this, but
Yeah.
by yourself doing your thing, run this thing.
Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. Hi everybody. Oh man, it is so cool to see how many people are listening. That's awesome.
Tevin had 11,400 and something.
Wow.
Last Thursday. That's why before him, we get ready to start bridging it. 23.
Okay. Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up.
I was listening to you talking about going back. You see,
Yeah,
back
yeah.
55 years old. No, 50. Yeah, 55.
Alice, I see you. It's your fault I'm in this. You were out there doing those rallies. Okay. There's a whole bunch of people to blame. Alice Jones.
Alice Jones, Jumbo Love said what's up.
Hey, Alice, Jumbo Love said, what's up? And welcome back, Indiana's own Dana Black. We're talking to you about politics from the left side of things. I haven't had a chance to check my Twitter just in case you guys have come up with a cool name for the show. I'm still working on that. But let's just jump right into it because I'm getting short on time because I talk a lot and I apologize if I'm running on if you didn't appreciate the background story. But you had to know where I was coming from. It's always somebody running around talking and they never really lived, and I want to let you know that I lived. So the Congress is on recess right now, and any good politician, any good representative is holding a town hall meeting right now, talking to their constituents. I was at the Lawrence Township meeting last night, and Representative John Bartlett came out and was explaining to us what was going on in the State House. He was sharing with us what the bills were, the bills he was sponsoring, what amendments he had, what was looking good. He took questions. He was able to interact with the constituents, the people that vote for him. All of a sudden, we've got a bunch of elected officials in Congress who seem to be a little scared to talk to the people that voted for him, and some that didn't. Now, listen, if you get 50 plus 1% of the votes, you win the race, but you still are responsible for all the people that live in your district. But let me tell you what's going on. So some of these, so it started out with, Utah's Representative Jason Chaffetz, I think that's how you say his name, and Chuck Grassley. Both of those guys are Republicans. They had some town halls that got super duper feisty. And people were like, yo, and most of the conversation is about immigration and affordable health care, right? People want to make sure that they are not going to just be dumped out on the street when they get sick, or that their families are going to be ripped apart. But let me share a little bit about what some of the things that they're doing, because there are some representatives since that happened in Utah that are not having town halls. They canceled their town halls. They ran away from the meetings. And the constituents are not very happy about that, because they're like, look, you work for us. You are supposed to be representing us. So Paul Cook in California, they've actually been putting like his face with the missing sign on milk cartons, because they're like, where are you? How come you're not coming to talk to us? They've been putting signs up, and they've done "Where's Waldo" for their representatives. They taking ads out. I noticed there was one in Indiana recently for, desperately seeking Susan, because Susan Brooks is not doing her town hall. So my commentary on this is like this. Trump wanted to say that, and some other people, and even Mike Pence wanted to say that these were paid protesters. Well, the only facts that we know for sure is that when Trump was announcing his presidency, he paid people to come to the Trump Tower to say, yay, Trump, right? Yeah, I know. Where is Ty Rakita? Hello? Where is Todd Young? Where are these guys at? But here's what I don't understand. When did we start electing a bunch of scaredy cats as representatives? Why are they so nervous? Why are they scared to meet the people that they're supposed to represent? I mean, let's think about this though, right? These Republican districts are pretty much gerrymandered for them to win. So pretty much everybody that's in that district is going to be relatively like them, either if they're on the left or the right. What are they scared of? What are they frightened of? Do they not want to make the hard decisions and talk to people about why they made those hard decisions? That's to me is it's chicken, man. It's chicken. These maybe we need, and y'all forgive me because I know I have a very diverse follower, people that are following, but maybe we need more African American women in politics, because as women, we know what it is to be disenfranchised, and as Black people, we know what it is to be disenfranchised and hated. So we're used to people yelling at us all the time. I don't understand what are you scared of? Why would you run away from the people that you were supposed to represent? That makes no sense to me. So I found that kind of interesting, that these guys, and what's killing me is that they crybabies. Like, they're yelling at my town hall. They're yelling at me. Again, I go back to that, the rough side, smooth side of the mountain. You wanted this role. You wanted to be a leader. You wanted to put yourself out there in the limelight. Do your job. Now, the biggest thing that the protesters are talking about is health care. They ran on repeal and replace. Listen, dog, ain't nobody stupid. You still have yet to tell us what the replacement is. You have no replacement. You never had a replacement. We're not dumb. We know this. And the fact that you continue to lie to us like that just lets me know that you're not really working for us. You're working for the people whose pockets you were in. There's enough money going in your pocket that you don't even care about the people that you're supposed to be representing, the people that voted for you. Because think about it, y'all. There are more of us than there are of them. There are more working people who have to get up in the morning and find a way to feed their kids, keep a roof over their heads, provide health care, keep their teeth in order, than there are super wealthy corporations that can influence, decision makers in the Congress. I mean, the fact that they said that they were paid protesters, can you tell me what a lobbyist is? A lobbyist is somebody that's being paid to go protest whatever it is that you're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lobbyist does. I don't believe that a lot of those people were paid protesters. I mean, if you have a life like mine, you really don't have time to be wasting doing, stuff that is not conducive and productive for your life. So I'm not buying that. But what I want to tell to every person in Congress and then every person in the Senate that's supposed to be holding town halls, man up. You wanted the job, step up to it. I know I would. Nobody's ever going to agree with everything that anyone says, and if you do something wrong with them, I always said that if anybody agrees with everything that I say, there's something wrong with me because I'm talking out of both sides of my face, right? So I don't expect everybody to. But you know what? Man up, woman up. Even though we only make up 20% of our elected officials, we're gonna fix that in 2018. But man up, woman up, and go deal with the decisions that you are trying to make that affect the lives of these people. Don't be acting all scared now. I gotta have 14 security people around me. The Senate leader showed up in his stretch limousine and all of that with all the security, whatever. Man up, woman up, take care of your people. Now, I got one more topic I want to talk about. Let me look at my time and make sure I got 15 more minutes. About 10 more minutes. All right. So I want to talk about something on the state level that is really important to me that I think you guys should be aware of. There's a bill that just came out of the House and it's gone over to the Senate. It's House Bill 1472. And this bill basically changes the rules and says that a county can have satellite locations for early voting. Now, I don't know if you guys. I'm gonna throw some things out there to you real quick. I'm gonna pull up some information real quick. You're gonna find this relatively. If you're like me, it's gonna tick you off really more than anything else. So, if I'm not mistaken, Johnson County, Boone County, one of those counties has. Here we go. Howard County has 63,952 registered voters in the entire county. They have nine, more than 8, less than 10, 9 early voting places. Blackford County, I know y'all heard of it. They have 8,976 registered voters, and they have 3 early voting polling places. Not bad, right? Hamilton County. Let's go with a larger county. 230,786 registered voters, and they have 4 early voting sites for 2016. So you're probably asking, why are you throwing these numbers out, Dana Black? Because this is a number that should anger you and call you to action. This is the thing. Marion County, the largest county in our state, has 699,709 registered voters. Guess how many early polling places we had this year? No. I'll wait. We had 1. I want you to sink that in. Want that to sink in for just a minute. We had one polling place. It was the city county building, and I don't know if you noticed or not. There's a lot of construction going on down there, so parking is limited. And if you are a special needs person, getting around is quite difficult. But almost 700,000 people in our county, and we only have 1. Now, why is that? Why would the county with the most people only have 1 early polling place? Well, let's see. It's probably the most Democrat county in the state. And if I can make it just a little bit more difficult for the voters in that county to go and vote, it may be good for me if I'm on the right. See, that's not democracy. That's just you a punk and you scared to fight. That's what that is. So the bill that came out of the House, 1472, basically says that no longer it doesn't have to be a unanimous decision between the 3 board members on the election board. Right now, it just says a majority. Right now, it has to be unanimous. The bill changes it to majority. So if it's with 3 people, 2-1, whatever the 2 come up with, we're good. Right now, it's got to be 3, and of course, there's always at least 1 Republican on the election committee. So now, have you guys ever wondered who that one Republican was, or that one Republican, or why they don't see that 700,000 residents deserve to have more than one early satellite polling place? Have you ever asked that question? Have you ever wanted to know why they felt that way? I would like to know. Do we even know who it is? I do. See, some people act in anonymity because we don't know who they are and we haven't seeked that information out, and they are able to conduct business in a way that is detrimental to us because we don't know who they are. Well, I'm going to tell you who it is. Her name is Mara Hoff. She's a lawyer for the Republican Party. She has consistently voted no on satellite voting of polling places for early voting. Consistently. Mara Hoff. Does she do it because she, why? I want to know why. Why do you not value the 600 or 700,000 voters in Marion County that you would think that only one polling place is sufficient? Shame on you. Republicans swear they about the Constitution. They swear they about, giving everybody the opportunity. Everybody's talking about they have the opportunity and you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you can do some stuff. But here you are afraid to fight in Marion County, so much so that you make it difficult for tax-paying citizens to cast their vote. So I'm excited about this bill 1472. I know John Bartlett had a couple of amendments that were attached to it, and it's going over to the Senate now for a review. I'm going to call on all 50 of those senators to look at that. I mean, because one other little piece of information that you guys should know about, only in consolidated cities is the law where it has to be unanimous versus majority. Only in consolidated cities. Consolidated, Unigov, City County, merged together, Marion County. Those counties are what? Marion, Lake, I think Allen is one of them. I don't know them all, and if I got it wrong, I apologize. But my point is this. Don't be you claim that you believe in democracy and you claim that you were down for the people and the people. Every time I heard about the anti-Obamacare, it was what the people wanted. Now you're calling them paid liberal protesters. But they the people. They not the people. They the people. I want to see this bill come out of the Senate and give to the citizens of Marion County exactly what they deserve. The opportunity to not be grossly neglected when it comes to early voting places. Now I'm gonna give it up to Mila Clark, our Marion County clerk. She handled it like a troop. She's a trooper. She managed it. I watched because I work at the city county building, so I was able to see how she literally rearranged her whole office, right, to accommodate the lines of people that would be coming to get registered to vote, to make it as streamlined as she possibly could, to accommodate people the best she could. But that is wrong, and it's chicken. Put up a fight, Republicans. Don't be scared. Don't make it so it's hard for liberals to get out and cast their vote, or progressives to get out and cast their vote. If Howard County can have a tenth, and I'm not a mathematician, but 700,000 versus 62,000, 63,000, that's about the tenth, right? And they have 9 early voting places. 9, and you're cool with that. You're very cool with that because Hamilton County, Howard County, Blackford County, those counties have a tendency to lean to the right. You're okay with that, but you're going to make it, when you pass legislation in your supermajority state house, to make it difficult for liberals to vote. Man, check yourself. I mean, this one, like I said, some things I'm going to talk about kind of get me going, and other things are just kind of like funny, like running from constituents to town halls. But this impacts lives. Yes, I know there's absentee ballots, and I know that there are multiple ways to cast your vote. But if Howard County with 63,952 registered voters can have 9 polling sites, then Marion County with its 699,709 registered voters can have more than one downtown where you got to pay the poll tax. I'm just saying, we can do better. We can do a whole lot better. So listen, this is kind of the thing that I'm going to be talking about. This is what the show is going to be about. I'm going to be picking topics. Some of them are going to be about bills. Some of them are going to be about issues. I'm going to keep it always positive. As you know, I'm never going to really like attack people, like, you know, calling them names and stuff like that. That's kind of punk. But I will, you know, if your behavior displays some cowardice, I will call you out about that. I will call you out on your cowardice, because you ran to be a leader. You ran on the premise that you wanted to represent and help people. And so these are the things that I plan on talking about on this show. I am excited about this opportunity because we need some voices on the left that are talking to us and getting us fired up. The right's been doing it for years. They got a whole following of people who believe that being poor is okay, and they're going with it. So listen, Indiana's own Dana Black. We still don't have a name for the show. I'm going to be looking for your tweets and your messages on suggestions on what we should call this left-leaning political show. Yes, it's left-leaning. I'm taking a side. This show is not going down the middle. We're going to take a side. Hit me up. Thank you so much. This is our kickoff show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I shed some light on some things. I hope you want to hear this again. We're not sure if it's going to be weekly or bi-weekly, but we'll keep you posted. We'll do some ads in between. Again, thank you to my man and all of Radio Next for giving me this opportunity to share with you my passion and my love for my great state, Indiana's own Dana Black. Sir, how much more time I got?
None.
I got none. I'll holler at you guys later. Y'all have a great night. Love you.